Sorry, we're closed.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. Episode 101. We're in triple digits now. And if you're watching this on YouTube, or if I put a clip on any of the social media platforms, you will see that I have a solid tan going for my trip to Ocean City. The bachelor party went well. And I did get a little burned. I went to a place called Secrets. I'm not sure that you've been there. Just a little fun story. Drinking aggressively and being in the sun, like an aggressive sun, no escape from the sun all day, it drains you. You get really tired. I went to bed like 7 o'clock, didn't wake up till 3 in the morning. It's crazy, and then went back to sleep. But I digress. I would be remiss if I didn't mention the Red Sox-Yankees series and how the Red Sox once again took it to the Yankees. The Yankees need to do something. They're just not the team that everyone thought they would be. They're in 4th place in the American League East. They're just not that good. They have injuries. They aren't performing. They're just not that good. And I think that the Yankee fans need to start realizing that. I heard guys on Twitter again this weekend say, the Reds are just off to a hot start. They're cool off. Well, guys, we're almost 3 full months into the season. We're a month away from we're 2 weeks or so away from the All-Star break. What are we doing? This is not a hot start. We're halfway through the season. More than halfway through the season. So, ridiculous, but that's Yankee fans for you. But regardless, let's move on to business. I don't know if I ever told you guys, but when I was doing Green Rock, when I was doing the deal for Green Rock, and I had to have mentioned this over 100 episodes, when I was doing the deal for Green Rock, I had something happen where I forget exactly what it was. There was a lawsuit that had popped up or something when I was still in the negotiations of this whole arrangement in the deal that we were trying to come to. There's something had popped up that gave some of my investors some cold feet. Now, so you guys know, I never do any of these deals by myself. I'm not the sole owner of Green Rock. I'm the operator. I'm the majority partner, or half of the majority partner with another guy. But I always have investors. I like to bring people on. It's good for the restaurant. It's good to have some people, even if they're small, 5, 4, 3% owners. They still feel like they own a place. They feel proud of the place. They'll make sure, when they're choosing between a place to go drink or a place to go have dinner or something like that, they'll probably choose their own place. So it's nice, and then they'll tell people the word of mouth when they'll go tell 50 people. I'll tell 50 people, and so on and so forth. It does well, and so we always have investors. So a few of the investors, when they heard about this particular lawsuit, got some cold feet, right? And they pulled out, a large sum of money. We're talking hundreds of thousands of dollars pulled from the investment in the last minute. So now it's up to me to finagle a couple $100,000 or however. I don't remember exactly how much it was. I think it was like 3 or 4. Finagle that, and it was about, I think it was a week from close. I had to finagle that and not tell the guy I was negotiating with, because I didn't want him to think that there was a chance the deal didn't happen. I wanted to go out and get it myself and figure this out and operate as usual. I didn't stall. I still wanted that same close date, and he made it happen. So it's crazy to think about how you can make that happen. And I never knew that this skill was in me. But similarly, I'm doing another deal right now, and we had $1 million go 2 days before close. Now, the reason being is, a lot of these deals, you end up you deal with investors, but you also deal with banks, because a lot of times you don't have the money yourself, but you get good credit and so on and so forth. The business is thriving, so you're buying at good interest rates, similar to buying a house. You get a good house in a good neighborhood, you have good credit, all of those things. You get a solid interest rate, and you pay it over time. Similar in the business world, do the same thing. The deals are usually shorter. We don't do 30-year deals in the business world, or at least in the restaurant industry or hospitality world. In my experience, it's been 10-year deals. So it's a little bit different, a little bit more stressful on the business and on personally. You just get a little more nervous because your payments are bigger monthly, right? But a lot of times the seller doesn't want to deal with the bank. The bank makes you jump through hoops. They don't love everything that they read. They think the worst in almost any type of bad news. They think the worst. They make the seller jump through hoops. They make the buyer jump through hoops. It's difficult. One of the hoops that they always do is that they don't buy less than 100% of the business. You're allowed to sell off pieces after that, to my knowledge, but you have to start off with buying 100% of the business. That's difficult. Not every, especially in the industry that I'm in. A lot of people, maybe the majority owner wants to sell off, but the minority guys want to stick around. They're not ready to move on yet, or for a multitude of reasons. So you don't always get to buy them. So I typically only buy majority stakes, but you don't always get to buy 100% of the business. It's actually rare that you do. So with that being said, that right there throws a real wrench in the plans with the banks. It's very difficult to navigate that. And then on top of it, it's you don't want to have to deal with these types of situations in a timely process, in a timely manner. So when they make you jump through all these hoops, you want to have a close date. The bank doesn't give a shit about your close date. The bank wants to make sure that every box is checked before they release these funds and you move. So it's complicated. It just makes things more complicated. So now that I give you a little bit of the background, story time, I get a call. I'm supposed to close on a deal here on Thursday, and I get a call on Monday saying, hey, listen, sorry to do this so late, but he blamed me for some things, but sorry to do this so late, but bank can no longer be involved. It absolutely cannot be involved any longer. I don't want to deal with the bank. I'm over the bank. If you cannot raise the money, then you can't buy the place. And that is a really difficult phone call to take. 3 days before you're supposed to close. And now, not only are you 3 days from closing, but you just had $1 million disappear on you, or whatever the deal might have been. And on top of it, now you got to go raise that. Raising that money is very difficult. Everyone's just got it, hundreds of thousands of dollars laying around. I don't have hundreds of thousands of dollars just laying around that I can just go put into something. So using the bank, it has a lot of advantages too. So it was like the worst phone call. I remember sitting here, I was with my girlfriend Chelsea, and I get the phone call, and I just take the phone, and I'm just like, this just happened. And she's like, oh, can they do that? I was like, yeah, of course they can do it. They can do whatever the hell they want. But it completely changes the game. So I sulked for probably 15 minutes. And then I was like, all right, well, listen, if I want to do this deal, which I still did, I got to go figure out a way to get this money and do it quickly. So the option that I chose was I'm going to try to convince him, wanting to push back the close date, which I convinced him to push it back a week, a full week. So instead of tomorrow close, we're doing a week from tomorrow close. And then on top of it, I made him, I negotiated him to bring down the number that we're doing for the initial raise into the business. And that allowed me much more flexibility to go ahead and get a raise from people, because keep in mind, through this whole process, I had some investors already lined up, and I had already sent them tax returns. I've already sent them, what the place is doing and how we're doing it. My ideas going forward, what the structure of the deal will look like, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, all the boring shit, right? So when I go and ask for money from these people, I wasn't gonna be able to raise $1 million, but I could probably raise half that. Because these people already know everything about the business. I don't need to go through it with them again. So they already knew everything about the business. So now going, hey, listen, this is the deal. This is how much it's going to cost. You want X percentage. This is what that price will be, how much you're going to have to pay me to get that percentage in. And either you like it or you don't. I don't really have time. Unfortunately, the position that I've been put in, it's either you want to do it or you don't. You can't wallow. If you don't want to do it, I got to go find someone else that does. So essentially, I gave everyone, the day, but essentially I needed to go and get these people on board for this amount of money, and boom, we have the raise. So I just start making phone calls. I had 7 people on my list. 6, because one was including me. So I had 6 possible investors, And I just went down the list of people and exactly, listen, this is what we have to do. And lucky for me, raised the money. Raised the money in 12 hours, and 8 of those hours I was sleeping. So I raised $500,000, which is what I needed to do, in 4 hours. But it sounds impressive, but in reality, it's really just, being prepared, being open and honest with your investors. My investors trust the hell out of me because I don't hide a damn thing from them. They see everything. If they want something, it's shown to them immediately. And if I haven't already shown it to them, because I probably already have. So they had all the information going into it. If I had to start this process, because I was using the bank, I was never anticipating them having to be used. But if I ended up using the bank, these guys I don't need to make these phone calls. But I was prepared just in case I had to. And it made the process a lot easier, thankfully. The only other hiccup you had to do was, listen, in these types of deals, some people get discounts, some people don't get discounts. Sometimes everyone pays exactly the same. It's case by case. It's, certain people can bring certain things. You hear about sweat equity, right? Sweat equity is a lot of times it's people that don't have enough money to put down originally, or have no money to put down originally, but they'll go work for free in the business, limit your payroll in the beginning, and earn their equity stake that way. That's a possibility. You have certain people that have done restaurants for years and can bring a lot of knowledge and intelligence to the business because they've seen so many different scenarios that there's nothing really going to spook them. They're going to have an answer for most situations that pop up, whereas a novice investor into the restaurant might not. You have people I kind of fall into this kind of category of, you've done deals with me in the past, you trust me, you like the process that I give you, you like the information that I give you, so you're quicker on the trigger when I'm asking you to do a deal. There's a million different reasons, but some people don't always get the same price. That's just kind of the nature of the business. And some people don't like that, and I take no offense to that. I had one guy that said, "Hey, listen, I don't want anyone getting discounts." I flat out told him, "Listen, a good friend of mine. I was like, listen, so and so and so and so are getting discounts. This is why they're getting discounts. This is what they're paying per point for 1%, and then however many points they wanted." But I believe they've earned this, and I think they will continue to earn this. So I think that's fair. I have no personal problem if you decide that, I don't like that and I'm out. Not a problem at all. It means nothing to me. You're still one of my best friends in the world. It does not bother me if you don't like how I structured the deal. I see value, so I'm going to try to use it. Doesn't mean everyone sees the same value that I see in certain people, but it worked. And I structured the deal. It took me about an hour to figure out exactly how to structure the deal. And then the phone calls make 3 hours of phone calling and talking to people, telling people exactly how the deal was structured, how everything worked. And boom, you get your deal. And you raise the money you need. I was able to get on the phone now with the seller that day and said, "Hey, listen, I raised what we agreed upon." He relaxed a lot, and everyone gets all butthurt when they don't get everything they want, which is kind of, to me, and I've dealt with this a lot in the bar industry, where it's all of a sudden people don't get exactly how they wanted it. Everything doesn't go exactly as planned, and now I'm getting yelled at, or you're pushing, and I want more now. And it's, to me, again, maybe it's the baseball in me, I'm sure it's a lot of it has to do with just my personality. My dad's very laid back, but if you're not always going to get what you want. In fact, you're probably more than likely than not to not get what you want all the time. And I just don't think that yelling and stomping your feet is the way to go about it. But that's some people do it that way. But he relaxed after that. Was very, very appreciative of it that we pushed and we moved for it. And now we came to an agreement on pretty much everything. And it looks like we will be able to close next Thursday and move on, which is exciting. It is what it is at this point, but it's it makes everything smoother for everyone, and not have to worry about all of the raise. It can be really time consuming if people don't have the information already, and being able to have that information already, be able to go get that raise immediately, all of those things, it was a home run. So in the last two deals that I've done, I've had, $1.3 million disappear on me, both under a week from close. So I hope that doesn't continue to happen. But again, when I talk to you guys about this business and why I love doing what I do, one, because a lot of the business happens at really nice dinners. But the other reason is because it has that competitive fire, that not being able to use the bank with 3 days left to close is the same as a 3-2 count with a man on second and third or bases loaded, and you're up 1, you're up 2 runs. You got it. That juices are flowing. You got to make moves. You got to make moves now, and you got to figure out what the best move is for you at that exact moment. And you can't wallow. You can't be pissed about losing the bank. Is my thing. Is like the last 2 pitches were strikes. I should be out of this inning, and I wasn't. And that you can't worry about that shit. You can't sit there and be like, this umpire is screwing me. You got to make this pitch, because this pitch can get you out of this, and you still win the ball game. But if you're worried about what just happened, you don't get that. And I think that this is some of the things I'm able to draw from baseball and bring it into this business world. It's been unbelievable. I'm shocked how much there is out there, but and how much baseball at least can teach you. Is you just can't worry about stuff that has just happened. You just got to react and move on, because things aren't fair. People don't give a shit about your feelings. They don't care that you're not getting what you want. They're coming after to get to what they want. It's all about them. Everyone lives in their own little bubble. So it's crazy to me to see all the similarities I see from baseball and the things I was able to draw from there. Much more pressure in baseball. I don't feel the same pressure that I felt in the business world. We're not talking about huge money yet. So maybe it just won't get there until we're doing huge deals. But there's nothing quite like that feeling. 3-2 counts, bottom 9, bases loaded, up 1 run, the whole bit. It's gonna be hard to replicate that with 30,000 fans watching you. I'm not sure I ever had it with 30,000 fans watching me, but it's tough to replicate that. But guys, I appreciate you listening. This seems like the business world is gonna give me plenty to talk about as I try to take this podcast from kind of baseball-ishy, businessy to a lot of business, and take a small ownership in a sushi restaurant to start back in 2017 or 2018, and take it to a portfolio that hopefully has 150 to 200 restaurants, worldwide, and is traded on the New York Stock Exchange. So appreciate you coming for the ride, guys. And until next time, I'll see you at the bar. Thank you so much for listening to the Sorry We're Closed podcast. Go subscribe to our email chain over at thepatlight.com and follow us on all social media. Until next time, guys, I'll see you at the bar.
Sorry, we're closed.